Because you've got to bring a bunch of cash to
Yep.
the table, and you, at your beginning of your life, or your that portion of your life, you don't have that cash, right? And but to go back to it, so I want you to switch yourself back to you're not doing this job right now. So the reason why you were thinking about not buying was why? What was the key couple of points?
Well, for me, we had the money to put down, so that wasn't really an issue for us. For me, it was the monthly payment. I couldn't get over. I wanted a certain monthly payment, and I could not get over that.
So that brings up a point that we've been talking about forever on the show. Most people buy by monthly payment.
Yeah.
Right? As interest rates go up, my God, we're not going to do that. So we become an educator, right?
She's got numbers for you on that too.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
She's got numbers for you on that.
I'm excited
right now.
for that.
So I'm going to shut up and let you give numbers.
Yeah.
And drink my coffee.
I mean, where do you want me to start? At 350 or 650?
Start at 650 and work your way down.
We'll get this really close to you here because you got knowledge you're dropping here.
All right, so if you're looking at FHA, I didn't do conventional, I just did strictly FHA, and just P&I, I didn't do taxes, insurance, anything like that. But FHA 650, and the credit score was like 690 or 689, I think I ran it as. At 6.625, you're looking at $4,086 per month, and then at a 4.5, you're looking at $3,233 a month. So you're getting like almost an $850.
Massive delta.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Yeah.
Right? We're all in agreement
We're
there?
all in agreement that for anyone, lowering your mortgage payment by $850 a month is massive.
Massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all your groceries and probably a couple of your utility bills a month.
And then
Yeah.
you add on top of that, the average family is spending roughly $450 more just due to inflation.
Yeah.
So that number is another $450 on top of that.
Yep. And then if you go down to, I did FHA 550, 6.625, again, just P&I, $3,457 a month. And then at 4.5, the same price range, just P&I, $2,736 per month. So again, that's like $720 difference between those two payments. So again, that's a huge number. Like I could get like a grocery trip and a half in that.
Right.
Actually, almost 3 grocery
And
trips.
I look at it that way. Is that
Yeah.
how you look at
Yeah.
it? Like, I look at this money savings every month this is what we spend each week on groceries.
Food.
Yeah.
Those are two of your big. That's always going to be your household's 2 biggest expenses.
So everyone at this table is in the 3 bigs, 2 of the 3 bigs anyway, well, 1 of the 3 bigs, food, shelter, and clothing, right? That's the 3 things. So we're focusing on shelter in this particular
I don't think anything that you guys ever see me wear regularly outside of some Nikes that we won't talk about. My annual clothing expense is low.
So why are you looking at me when you're saying that?
Because you're fancy, man. You got wine glasses on the shirt.
I got wine glasses on my shirt.
I'd take a wine glass right
There you
now.
go.
So this comments come in. We have a lot of comments coming in here. And these are just real people with real comments, asking real questions here. Okay? This
On Real Talk.
On Real Talk. I mean, like, we got to shoot them straight here. This comment has come in. Can anyone on this panel explain to me how our son or daughter can afford a $300,000 house, which is the basic starter home in this area, at a 7% plus interest rate?
Because, and I'm going to, here, I'll tell you what, give me 2 seconds while I scramble through this because she doesn't have mortgage insurance. I'll give you.
The back
Go ahead,
question
jump
to
on
that is, how much are you paying for rent? So going back towards the monthly payment of it,
I would say someone that's in a first-time home buyer situation in this area is paying a monthly rent payment between $1,500 and $1,800 a month.
if not more. If not more.
For someone renting a home is got roommates, so they're not paying the entire nut of a place.
I mean, unless it's a family.
There's no studio apartments here.
Yeah.
So they're renting a room with other people like Eagles Landing, the Villas at Southern Ridge, Turtle Creek, one of the many places I started off with before climbing the ladder here. So a $300,000 house at a 7% interest rate, Scott's doing the math. I would imagine that monthly payment is going to be considerably more than the $1,500, $1,800 a month they're paying in rent. And I can just we can just look at a mortgage calculator and do that, which I can,
I'm adding in
So
insurance, everything.
So my comment is even if it's a couple $100 above rent, right? I don't know what it is. Scott's going to give it to us on that end of it. But if, the question goes to the point that I've been making all along. This division between us and them is just going to get greater.
All right. So let's say we're $2,600 a month, and so not 6.625. Real on a rate sheet, real with the credit that we're pulling. There's not significant, most likely going to be discount points. I think we're seeing rates trend in the right direction. But so $2,600 to $2,700
$1,000 more a month.
is what that payment currently would be, and then once they could refinance, they're going to pull another $500 off that mortgage. And I say they end up doing that in the next 24 months, period, without question.
Okay. So you're looking at, for the moms that just asked this question.
So we dropped from 27 at a current rate to 22 at a potential refinance
And
rate.
24 months.
And
Inside
how much
the
are
first 2
you
years.
financing? 100%?
No, 96.5%, FHA 3.5% down. Your total cash to close is going to come in somewhere around $16,000. And so that total cash to close is the amount of money that they'll bring to the table at closing. That's 3.5% down on, we're using 350. Let me make sure I use 350 instead of 300. All right, I'm using 300.
Probably looking at $15K at the closing table, total cash down. With points, closing costs, 3.5 is $10,500. You guys got to make some money there. You're looking at $15,000.
No, I use 350. I use 350.
Okay.
So 1250 gives you a $2,600 to $2,700 monthly payment. I'm probably a little high on taxes and a little high on homeowners insurance, so I feel comfortable saying that. Especially if you use Jarrett Spencer at Liberty Mutual, who is a fantastic individual to work with. And then you're going to get somewhere between $400 and $500 reduced from that when they choose to refinance, and wait for me and not all the stuff that you get in the mail. So I can say it's too early. We're not there yet.
So Jennifer, your son or daughter's looking at about $1,000 more a month and is going to need to bring $15,000 to $16,000 to the closing table. That's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
And the $1,000 more a month is going to be over a 24-month period of time.
And not to mention that $1,000 more a month, they're going to recoup in their tax bill that they're not getting any money back from in rent. They're going to receive $600 of that $1,000. Roughly 12. They should be discounting roughly $6,000. I'm not a tax professional. You should take this up with a tax professional, but
And not H&R Block, please.
But not yes. I'm sure that we can refer you to any number of trusted people. Of the $12,000 that difference is going to be in annual mortgage income, they're going to receive probably $6,000 of that back in refund.
Okay, so to your point, and we're going to throw it back to you, with rates where they're at now, the monthly payment has surpassed the monthly rent.
Yeah, I got it. I just looked up what's available under $300,000. There's 5.
Well, how about 350?
It goes from 267 to 324 to 330. There's 2 in the 3s. Then it jumps to 410. There's a single family detached now.
I think that number gets bigger. I think that number continues to get bigger, but that's that number that as it continues to get bigger.
So it makes it worse, right? Now
Juan Sarmiento, Louisa County, great job with the Charlottesville-Albemarle Transportation Department. The head technician on the CAT fleet, lives in Louisa, says that is an unrealistic scenario in these financially strapped times.
Absolutely. So it's part of why
That's why we got to shoot them straight here.
We are shooting straight.
Yeah.
But back to the question of, is the value going down? There's 2 different questions in here. So what we're talking about is helping.
I'd like him to tell me what a realistic number is before I ask or answer another question. I want him to tell me how much his mortgage should be, or what is the maximum amount that is a realistic number.
That's a fair question.
So
It's going to be based on income.
That's going to be based on opinion.
Yeah, that's fair.
So talk about rates and talk about tying this all together. As those who watch the show know, I chair.
Because I can tell you right now that when rates were at 2.5%, people were telling me that's outrageous, and how could we ever make that work? It's like, cool. Why don't we wait to get to 0 then, bro?
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that.
That is a buyer objection
Beauty is in the
statement.
eye of the beholder.
That's a buyer objection statement.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what it comes down to, and here's what's happening, and I think people appreciate the content we air here because we don't hold back, and that's why we get the engagement we do. You have monthly rents in Charlottesville and Albemarle County for a single bedroom that are $1,750 a month. Keith Smith just said you can't find a home under $300,000.
There's two attached products for sale.
Yeah, 2 units. 2.
For one bedroom, right?
No, I take out new construction, guys. So there's some new construction.
There's,
attached.
I know we're there. There's a couple in the villas at Southern Ridge right now.
But you're talking
One
about,
of them at $225,000 asking price.
Yeah.
You're talking about one bedroom rentals.
Yeah, I'm talking sharing a house with
a-
your roomies.
What's a 3-bedroom rental?
Well, the 3-bedroom rental is chopped up amongst 3
For
people.
a family.
I mean, a family in a 3-bedroom rental is probably paying $3,000 a month, $3,400 a month.
So guys,
It's a $450,000 purchase.
we want to be super sympathetic to everybody here, right? So just to tie this together and how I see the market changing, as those know, I chair the Piedmont Community Land Trust. We just sold in the last 2 days our last 4 units at Avon Park at $225. These are 100% financed on it at 7% on that end of it, and they're tickled pink they've got it on that end of it. And the conversation that we're having with them in our counseling sessions is exactly what Scott has said is, look, you know, they are, the exact conversation is, oh my God, my rent is going up so fast. At least I'm stopping the bleeding and we'll refinance at some later date. That's the conversation that we're having right now. But the problem is there's nothing for them to buy.
Yeah, and
The next,
Which goes back to our inventory question, which I was
next-
not allowed to talk about anymore.
Well, talking about inventory, the next 3 months, we are going to continue to see that either grow or the idea of that growing. There are going to be, as we go through what we're going through, there are going to be, even locally, more potential foreclosures who still have equity in the home that they can get out and get in. They'll be moving from what their current situation is into a rental, and that's going to be expensive also. And I think when you look at a 3-bedroom rental for a family who needs to get out of that situation and into a home,
entry point I'm looking at is $3,850.
$3,850 for a 3-bedroom rental?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is more than a mortgage payment with everything all in.
Depending on the price point of the home.
$450,000.
So $450,000 home. I got the mortgage calculator here. You got it too. I mean, I'm just
It's not pretty.
no.
It's not pretty. And it's to go back to the need of a trusted advisor. Yona and I put a listing on at this price point that we're talking about, got a contract in very quickly, and we're not accepting the contract. And we're not going to accept the contract.
Break even at that point, Scott.
We're not accepting.
Without the money down.
I'm coming up $3,500.
So you're talking about $300 savings potentially without the money down.
Correct, and that's it.
Without the money
Let me
down.
check the rate that went in there. Yes, 6.65. Yes.
Yeah. So you know,
And the rates, and we agreed that rental rates probably are going to keep going up, especially if we have, I'm not going to use the word flood, but if we have potentially more foreclosures coming on market, the University of Virginia continues to grow, NJIC DIA continues to grow, the rental market here is going to continue to climb. That number is going to go up. Your potential mortgage payment is going to go down. So if we're already talking about break even or better for a family of 4 trying to get into a 3-bedroom home, you got 2 kids in 1 room, but you're offering more room. Maybe there's an unfinished basement that's giving you some options. And you're to that point, you may be in Louisa, you may be in Fluvanna, you may be in these surrounding counties, but at the same time, is that not more opportunity for the potential generational wealth growth and doing all of the things that you really need to do to succeed versus being trapped in an apartment?
100% agree with everything you said. I think the challenge that people are facing right now, especially the first-time home buyer, is coming up with the upfront down payment.
It's two-sided.
So as less offers come in, we're going to get more concessions. If we can come up with how to get you the minimum down payment, that 3.5%, you're going to have a tax refund. If you can do anything to shave and be conservative, you are 6 months away from being there.
I love it.
If you're some broke ass dude who's decided that you're going to get an engagement ring, you string together the intestinal fortitude to save what's going to save to hit whatever that number is. If you are a family who's going, how do we make this next step? You take the drastic cuts up front there to get to that goal.
I appreciate that.
So
I do. I think the guys.
I was a broke ass dude, by the way.
So was I. I launched this company 15 years ago. I was stealing Chinese food from the Panda Garden buffet in Ziploc bags, like legitimately, or eating a double cheeseburger.
Put that past you right now.
No, I would do it right now if I needed to. I swear, I was broke ass dude 15 years ago. Legitimately had to invite 2 of my friends to live in the villas of Southern Ridge, or I would have defaulted on the mortgage. Like, that is a true story. But I'm seeing what the real people are putting on the feed here.
Because real people operate from a fear-based mentality, and it's pushed by that thing on the wall.
I think CNBC is undoubtedly doing it. The national media is undoubtedly doing it.
Let's change the conversation a little bit. Let's try to offer. We have to be sympathetic, right, to millennial that's trying to buy a home, right, and trying to get in here. And,
I mean, you got Danny O'Day writing on the show here saying, "I don't think I'm ever going to be able to buy a house anytime soon."
Exactly.
He's 26.
I had the same conversation with my son-in-law, who's going to be his doctor, going, "Oh my God, I can't afford a house now." And so the conversation has to be: is how do we help these folks through that decision? Turn off your squawk box. Turn off that. Back to this conversation. How do you have this conversation through that to help them to do that? Because Scott, I love you with all my heart and soul, and you know that. But I'm looking at week over week, this week versus the July 1 end of the week, and there's 80 less houses on the market than there was that week ago.
And there's going to be even less.
So I think the inventory is going to drop a little bit.
100%.
Drop a little bit. And then, so we've got inventory dropping, we've got interest rates climbing, and then we have this thing that nobody's talking about this. The next set of buyers is not going to be 6%. The next set of buyers isn't going to be 8%. The next set of buyers is currently in the market now is not going to be...
It's going to be all cash.
It's going to be generational buyers. There's going to be... Keith is going to go, hey, I just sold my house and made $500,000 cash, and I'm going to go buy something.
That's 100%. That's happening right now.
And it's happening now. So I was saying earlier that we're helping a seller sell their first home, a millennial buyer resell their first home. They got an offer and they were so excited they wanted to accept it. And we said, whoa, time out. We're not going to, we've got to talk about this. We got to look at this. This is when the trusted advisor comes in. So the buyer is out of state, wants to put a contract on their house contingent on a sale of a house out of state. And I said, well, you know what? Great idea, time out. And we started doing our job and started talking to the agent up in upstate New York and found out the house has been on the market for 90 days. We did the research that the house isn't under contract. And we go, no, we're not taking your house off the market now. And with a what if, we might sell this and turn it into a dominant.
Yeah, have they considered reducing the price to what's actually going to get it sold? Because it sounds right now
it's overpriced for the market. We got the agent on the other side. We did our job and had this conversation because, to Jerry's point, a lot of these folks that bought the house at the end of in 2019, 2020, want to sell their house. Now we have to have these honest and open discussions about how this process is going to go. Your value is not going down in this market. The process has changed dramatically in the last 24 months.
I think we're beginning to see, if we're saying that it's not going down. I know that it's going down in some areas. There's statistics. I've got friends who have listings out there who are doing price reductions.
But was it priced right to start with?
Everybody thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, the folks that are pricing the homes now, the professionals, and we got to get Tova Payne in the mix here. The folks that are pricing the homes are basing it on comps. People have to price the homes out of the gate correctly now in this market, and still the reductions are happening. And All four of us here are in the business. We do this for a living. The average Joe and average Sally is more sophisticated than ever because they're spending all their time on the Realtor app or the Zillow app, highlighting or flagging the homes they like. So they see the reductions. You just have to heart it on the Realtor app, and then you get an email notification when the reduction happens. Yeah. It's not hard to do. And then you go on the Realtor app, and you can see pricing history and where it started and where it dropped. You don't have to be an insider anymore to have these KPIs.
Correct, but you also need to look at what they bought it for. Right?
That's also on the app.
I understand that, but you got to look at that. You've got to look beyond the arrow down and look, okay, well, they bought it and they've made $50,000 of equity.
Right.
So
the apps have calculators on that.
Yeah,
Let's slow this down. Sure. For your should be, would be, could be, I'm the most savvy home buyer that has ever walked the earth, and I know what Zillow tells me attitude versus the do you need to make a real decision because you're getting divorced, you're having a baby, you're making a job change.
That's different.
That's different. That is what drives real estate transactions, at least in my world. My world is small. I'm just a redneck who moved from Fluvanna to Culpeper.
You're a super smart guy. A super smart guy that we love at this network.
Those people are making decisions that are
their hand has been forced.
They need
their hand has been forced.
Always.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 3.5 decades. There was always buyers and stuff. There was always the young millennial that needed to buy a house. I was at one point doing that.
I'd love to hear Tova's take on this. And the viewers and listeners are asking as well. Juan has said this. This dude lives in Louisa and has a great job in city of Charlottesville. He says, panel, it is realistically unreasonable to expect a first-time home buyer to come up with $15,000 at closing and then expect them to afford a monthly payment, rent versus ownership, of $1,000 more a month.
Without a doubt.
That is not sustainable, and how you will lose your house.
100%.
And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. I'm just being real here. It is all over the feed here.
Yeah, and that is why
I'm not even reading the comments.
Yeah, so that is why I volunteer as much time as I do to help buyers buy homes and try to do these programs. That's why these programs, and there's a little twist that's going to get even worse. As the recession takes hold next year, because it will, all these government programs that I'm using to help people buy will go away.
Are evaporating.
They are evaporating. Literally had a board meeting about that. That's the reason in my suit and tie after this, that's literally what we're going to talk about, is the evaporation of government money. The $625 that Albemarle County is going to give us, it's not going to happen next year.
Now, if you want some house hacks and how to win, and if you want to win, and Tova, I swear to God, I'm going to pass this to you here. You want a house hack? You contact Scott and Ross Mortgage. You get in a 3.5% down, and you get a house, and you understand that it's $1,000 monthly delta that you have to cover, but you have 2 extra rooms. And you can monetize them potentially. Maybe you don't want to hear this over here, but you can monetize them potentially by renting them to your homies like I did at the villas, and now it's become a rental. That's a house hack for you. You may not want to tell your broker that, but it's don't ask, don't tell. It's what the monkeys, the see no evil, hear no evil?
Yes.
Speak no evil?
Yes.
The emojis on our phone?
I am about creative solutions.
Yes, I know you are. And that's why I like you. Is dude figures stuff out. It's my calculus teacher, DWYGD. Do what you got to do. That's what you are. That's what I am. That's what he is. But let's get Tova in the mix here. Anywhere you want to go.
Tova, we apologize.
No, she loves it, I think.
I do. I love it. The biggest thing for me, honestly, is people need to adjust their expectations. Like right now, obviously, I personally, if I were in a home, I wouldn't be able to buy anything right now, just in the financial state. However, I would be saving up my money, going through the right avenues to make sure that if the interest rates, actually when the interest rates do drop, when pricing for houses kind of levels, evens out a little bit, I am in the best position possible in order to buy a house. I think we're kind of always looking for the fastest answer, the quickest answer, and we want what we want right now. And for most people, that's just not happening, and I think that's where a lot of the frustration is coming in, is that I can't get this right now. Instead of being like, well, I can't get this right now, but what can I do in order to get it in this amount of time?
So
I think that's how about this?
there you go.
Gave her the props. Bring her back.
So
I
I
think
want-
she is coming back, right, Scott?
is coming back.
Yeah, that was confidence and conviction right there, Scott Morris from Tova.
I know. I'm aware. I actually don't have to make my own decisions anymore. This is like
I know.
I look at my calendar and I do what I'm told. That is
So how did that
Best
go
team
before
member
that?
ever.
what's that?
Making your own decisions.
I make some good decisions.
You make great decisions.
I'm also kind of a little wild.
So I want to give a shout out to Woody Fincham.
He's commenting. You want to hear what he has to
Well,
say?
before Woody does, before you do that, I want to give a shout out to him because he opened my eyes up to a new set of data and looking at things that I've never done before. And this is the list price versus sold price. So this goes back to your point about his price, how things are pricing. So I just did Albemarle County last 60 days, single family detached, no new construction. The median list price was 500,000, I apologize. And it sold for 515. So the selling for a little bit over. When those numbers start balancing and going the other way, that's when the market is starting to really reduce. When the actual sales price are starting going reverse below the listing price.
And I think he said this very succinctly, what you're saying. If things continue on the current trajectory, inventory will most likely increase as we slide through Q4 and Q1. Rates will quell demand and sellers will have to be more competitive. We are really close to a balance beam shifting. It's very difficult to call at this moment.
And you know what? He's 1,000% right. This is hard. The sellers generally catch up way later than the buyers do when there's a shift in the market.
that's just like the media being days behind, like what's actually happening in the mortgage market is getting. That's 3 days. The reporting's 3 days late every time. It's like, we've seen a crazy drop in mortgage rates. It's like, you saw a crazy drop in mortgage rates. Just like them jumping all over this volatility, things are going to continue to be volatile. At the same time, oversold bond market created some couple days of some real insanity, and we're starting to claw some of that back. And I'm telling you, from a global perspective of how every country, I don't get into this left and right thing. I think their wings are the same bird, but ultimately we blame who's in charge. So when things are good, somebody gets to cheerlead, and when things are bad, they make a lot of excuses. And what we're going to see going forward is a combination of both. Like, we're going to see inflation ease, and it's going to be, look what I did. But a lot of it it's not just us. It's a global phenomenon, and it's what's impacting all of these other global nations in Europe, Russia, China, as far as how they are affected. And the recession that is coming isn't going to be just affected here. And one of the things that hasn't been talked about in the show, and maybe this is just a non-show topic, but I think if there is a future domino to drop to put things in place, it's going to be business foreclosures, not housing foreclosures. Businesses that took out a ton of debt at low rate and now even faced with an impending recession where people are going to be more focused on food, housing, and maybe clothing. So maybe Amazon keeps killing it. But as that happens, exterior service businesses are going to be a place that starts to see some suffering.
I think 1,000% agree with that.
And those foreclosures are what's going to come to terms in the stock market, and also
dude, you should see the business broker leads that are coming across my desk exactly because of that.
Get me out of this problem.
Yeah, that's literally what's being said.
Who can I sell this to
That's
right now?
100%.
Yes.
And
100%.
to add to that, and I'll leave names out of it, but there are several. You're going to start seeing several contractors start fizzling their way out of the market.
I think that's a mistake.
Excuse me?
I think that's a mistake.
Well, it's going to happen because when there was free money, they were buying all this equipment at free money, and now they're these
Can't they yearly depreciate like a huge chunk of
well,
that?
there's that, Mr. Morris, but I can tell you from firsthand, when you buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment that's tied to prime, because that's how this works.
I know.
All of a sudden, you went from this to multiple times that, and oh, by the way, work is slowing down. The two eventually crash. I think you're 100%. I think you're 100% right on that.
Vanessa Parkhill, parent of 2, Queen of Earlysville, watching the program. I think the unfortunate reality, and her kids are the 25 to 30. I mean, college-educated, white-collar jobs. Unfortunately, the reality that many young people are facing is that if you're 25 to 30, you just can't afford to move into a home that is plush or as nice as your parents' was. I'm not sure that's a new thing, but it's certainly being exaggerated in this market. So many young adults in the Central Virginia area have grown up in beautiful homes and now are faced with the predicament of going into something that is undoubtedly a fixer-upper, maybe even below the starter standards that we've become accustomed to. And they're frustrated when the only options they have are a condo, finding roommates,
such a boozy,
or moving to Waynesboro.
Like,
there's sometimes a difference between being able to afford a house versus being able to afford the house that you can pay for. Expectations need to be realistic. That's brilliant, Vanessa.
And I'll add one item to that is growing rapidly. I'm trying to find the percentage of it. Multi-generational homes is starting to grow.
I mean,
I've got a friend of mine who comes from a bougie-ass background, and she went out and in D.C. and in pockets of Northern Virginia bought less than desirable places. Had apartments that when she leave the apartment, she could get out of the apartment early to go try to buy, borrowed hard money, lived in some just not good places, but then turned each one of those places into a money-producing property. None of them were nice as what she grew up in, but she was smart and she had realistic expectations. And if part of the problem is kids, and I say kids, I'm 43 years old. If you're 22 to 25 year old, you're a kid. And if you think that you're like this entrepreneur on Facebook or TikTok or whatever, trying to become some influencer, and you're going to take this influencer money and roll it into buying this bougie house, you don't live in the realm of reality. Now, if you're someone who's got a real job and you're upset that you can't go buy a house as nice as what your parents bought 30 years ago, that should not be your focus. The focus on wealth growth and how you can get there, and the home hacks that Jerry said that I would never want to hear about. I can listen with a blind ear from time to time. Develop a plan. Make it we live in one of the most highly developed nations in the world. You can say what you want about how our economy is driven and who it serves. We've lifted more people out of poverty through the way that we do things, but unfortunately, we've allowed that thing on the wall, that box, or now the phone, to convince you that everybody needs to be a millionaire by the time they're 25.
It's one of the fatal flaws of social media, where you're constantly on Instagram and you see mid-20-year-olds posing in front of the Lamborghini with their foot on the hood. The reality is that's not their Lamborghini.
It doesn't matter. The people who are going to win are going to be the people who want to win, and the people who want to make excuses are going to continue to make excuses.
That's so true. That is so true. Brittany Smith, giving you some props right now.
Hello, Brittany.
Tova, you need to come back. You got fans all over the place here across the Commonwealth. And we also want to get your take. Neil Williamson, welcome to the program. I think the next situation that we need to watch out for is the entrepreneurs who got into Airbnb arbitrage that just started scooping up homes because money was cheap and then said, I want to be in the Airbnb business. Guess what's going to happen when this recession really puts an impact or a stress on disposable income? People ain't going to be Airbnb in your cribs anymore.
Maybe not, and maybe not even your. Maybe you might have a good place to go with your storage unit that you've already converted into a house for whoever's doing that.
Yeah, Joey loves that over there, right there. I would love. I mean, we only have 4 mics, but this guy's got a take on this as someone that is in mid-20s in the area. We'll save that for another show. 22. Oh, 21. I apologize. Sorry, I thought you were 22.
I wasn't digging on you, bro. I'm just saying that some of your people have unrealistic expectations.
I think he would agree.
Very true. I would totally.
He would totally agree with that. I think he would totally agree with that. Vanessa is giving you props, saying, "Amen, Scott. That was real. What you just said right there." We want to get takes here from. This is great content. This is resonating with the people. Tova here, Keith here, in a matter of moments. Another house hack that you can consider is, and maybe Scott doesn't want to hear this, is you buy the house, and if you don't want the roommate full time, which is what I did when I literally was going to lose my condo in 2008, 2009 at the Villas at Southern Ridge. Another one could be taking the individual rooms and Airbnb-ing them out on high popular weekends. Graduation weekend, football game weekends. You can get serious money for that, and then you don't have the roommate full time 12 months. These two guys don't want to hear that, but I have a list of maybe.
That doesn't even bother me hearing it, as long as I explain to you when we go through the process that that's not mortgage qualifying income, and you are the primary residence of the house, and don't do anything stupid. And also talk.
You have no exposure at that point.
Yeah, talk to your homeowners and whoever's handling your homeowners, and make sure that you've put some place in there in case like some jackass burns your house down when you're not there, and they know and then they find out like what you were doing.
Your insurance has got to be legit. Make sure your policies are legit, and your HOA.
Because if you violate it,
your HOA,
will fine you big time.
Yeah, your HOA is something to consider as well.
So to go back to what's available, Lake Monticello, we pick this all the time, right? Literally, there's 18 homes, which is actually good. That's up a couple of ticks than it normally is. There's only 2 homes in Lake Monticello under the price of $300,000.
That's what I'm saying. And we haven't even talked about this. City of Charlottesville and Albemarle County are 100% going to raise the real estate tax rate next year. It is 100% going to happen. So your monthly payment, your taxes, will go up in 8 months.
How many cents on the dollar? How many cents on the $100?
City of Charlottesville is talking between 2 and 4 right now to fund Buford School reconfiguration.
I know it's not a huge delta, but I took a look at what's sold.
That's a lot.
It's significant.
Yeah.
And as the market changes a little bit, your taxes, your insurance is also going to go up a little bit.
Well, and at the same time, the assessments went up.
Your assessment's going to go up. If you're in an HOA, your HOA is going to go up because they're spending more money, and that's how they get their money. But I wanted to go back to what Woody has turned me on to about taking a look at list versus sale. So I took at Lake Monticello the last 30 days. There was a delta of $5,000 between what list and what sold. Excuse me, I apologize. $3,000 that sold. The month before it was $5,000. So we're going backwards. In other words, there's list versus sold. So we're going to keep a close track on that because, as Woody explained to me, I think that's a really good metrics to track because then we're going to start really seeing the potential of the market valuation going backwards.
The viewers and listeners are itching to hear from Tova Payne. Tova Payne, anywhere you want to go, any topic you want to cover. Multiple folks have said you've brought, you go about life sensibly and physically conservatively, which I don't even know you. I met you approximately an hour and 6 minutes ago, and I get the impression you are physically conservative.
I mean, with the Airbnb, I'm actually curious to see how many people decided to buy rentals when the rates were that, because I even considered buying a rental when the rates were at, 2.5 or whatever, or 3. But how many of them were like, oh, this is a bad idea? And they are like, are those houses going to also flood the market within the next 6 months or so? Because they're like, this is a bad idea. I don't like this idea. And now they can also still recruit some loss that they, even if they're not getting the rent income from that, they're still getting, a massive lump sum when they sell their house.
So where that market, I think, is going to be the most impacted is on the edge of this rubber band, right? The people that in the COVID moved out to say Nelson or some of the outer areas because that's where they wanted to be, and then now realizing, oh, this is not where I want to be, and they want to move back in. I think you're going to start seeing the properties on these outer edges of these rubber band, and as it stretched out. I think that's where you're going to see the largest impact. I think the closer you get to the center, Charlottesville, the urban ring, close into Fluvanna or Greene or Louisa or like that. But some of these outer counties that people were moving in droves, back in there. I think that's where you're going to see the largest.
Do we, and we're at 11:35, so we're gonna wind down here, especially for young Jedi getting ready for the next show, Joey Rifkin. Do we see a flood of foreclosure inventory, or coming on the market?
I think a flood is a big word.
Okay.
I think we see enough to where it helps extend days on market. I think there's still enough equity in a lot of these homes that they get out before they're they're true foreclosures. They may get into short sale territory first. And
So you do see the impact of vulnerable inventory hitting the market soon?
yes.
Me too.
I've talked to people who know that these numbers are increasing month over month. And I mean, I think those people should fight to stay in the homes, but I also think that if you can get out while you're still in an equitable position and press reset, take some of that cash and fix your problems, that's what you need to do. Those people who they're already behind on payments, so you can't cash out at this point. For those people who are in the position to where they want to cash out, even with the higher rates, let's do the math. Are you multiple $20,000 credit cards deep, and this going from 3% to 8.5% on a cash out refinance makes sense? And hopefully I'm quoting you high there. Maybe we're 7x. But does that solve your cash flow problem for the next 24 months until we can refinance you again and back into a fixed rate? Like, look at what's going on. Talk to a trusted advisor, and let's solve some problems.
So I'm a member of Atom, and Atom is who follows the foreclosure process. We're, let's say, under 50,000. We used to be at 3 million. But here's an important conversation for whoever's listening and watching this. When you hit 31 days in the state of Virginia, you've lost control, right? You've lost control.
You're saying when you miss a mortgage payment by 31 days or more?
By 31, thank
Yeah.
you. You've lost control of the situation. The banks now are in control of what's going on. So the biggest thing on that is you feel that that's going to happen. You've got to pick up the phone and call Scott. You've got to come up the phone and call a trusted advisor and start that conversation with it, because what the banks are doing right now, and this is what I'm reading on all these different feeds and articles, I mean, they're just saying, okay, you will sell your house, right? And you sell your house because they don't want to go through the foreclosure process because
They don't want to be landers.
it costs them a ton of
Banks
money.
hate owning real estate, and they also know the market is hot, so they want to get rid of the inventory as quickly as possible so it gets off their balance sheets.
So
they know the time to sell is now.
So I've been through the time of great unpleasantness. I've had this happen to me, right? By multiple millions of dollars on that end of it. They don't want to do it. They want to work it out. They don't want to own real estate. So reach out to your processor, reach out to your service, reach out to Scott, and see if they can help navigate that, because they want to go ahead and just put it on the market, get rid of it. You are now, unlike the time of great unpleasantness, if you are scared and you're in this problem, you're in a unique position.
You have equity.
You've got equity.
Yeah.
I lost
And buyers.
and buyers. I lost equity. Phew.
Yeah, there was a time where you drove through neighborhoods.
2008, 2009.
Even in 2012, you were still seeing like the
Ghost towns.
But for sale signs everywhere, just because they couldn't find buyers for houses.
Yeah, so my biggest mistake I made in that process is I thought I can fix it. You can't fix this, right? Pick up the phone, call a trusted advisor before you hit that 31 days. Then after that, it's all over.
Let's do some final words here. Why don't we go ladies first? She's absolutely hit a grand slam. Tova Payne of Ross Mortgage. I got a feeling it's going to have a permanent seat potentially in this network, much to the chagrin potentially of Tova Payne here. You're fantastic at what you do. I see why you're an asset to Ross Mortgage. These are the folks you would interact with, real people living in the market who know the business, who will go to war for you. Scott is that guy, literally and figuratively. Literally and figuratively. I get the impression Tova is as well. The show is yours, Tova.
Ooh. I don't even know. I don't have words.
What advice would you give to somebody who is decided that they want to do this, they're close, but they're just not there?
Come up with a plan. I mean, write down a plan, or, look at your assets, look what you have, look at your credit. Like, the biggest thing, honestly, is money management. Like, can you manage your money better in order to put you in a better position? Like, that's the biggest thing that I've seen in all of the loans that I've done is money management, whether your credit score is not where you want it to be, or whether you don't have the funds to close, or, if you want to pay down points, if you don't have those funds, that's the best place to start, and that's the advice.
Well said. Bravo.
Thank you.
Scott Morris.
Create a plan. So, I've got some stuff going on, personally, that we talked about at the beginning of the show that I'm not going to dive back into. But shop-wise, I'm bringing somebody on at the end of this week who's going to be an absolute asset. He's also going to be an asset to something I'm going to call branch growth. I've got someone who I hope is listening right now that I will not mention, but I'm very focused on bringing her in and expanding our footprint even more, and making some incredible things happen. And I know you are the person, and I believe in you, and I believe in us in making this a new thing. For everybody out there watching, take action now. Whether if you're trying to figure out what your next step is, create a plan. I think that some of the comments that we got are super fear-based.
No doubt.
And that has to do with either the media that you're consuming or your true expectation of reality. Because we showed you that $450 is a tougher price point to be an entry-level position, but at the same time, when you're talking about college grads, some of which are coming out making six figures, and if they're coupling those into we're going to get married, build a family, I would go against your parents and tell you you're too young to do that.
Yes, please, wait.
At the same time, when you guys get divorced, you'll be able to split the house then too. So, just consider...
End on a high note, Scott.
Wait until your 30s. Wait until your 30s before you get married, please. How we were, I can speak for my homie Scott. How I was at 23 was very different than how I was at 35.
Let me tell you something. Nobody was married at 23 all the
time. I think this man did.
I was married at 23, had my first child.
How old were you when you got married?
I'm going to go with my favorite no comment.
No comment. There you go. She's taking the fifth right there. I love it.
So I'm gonna plug the benefits of that.
All right, yeah, plug the
plug
that wasn't ending that on a downer.
I think it was fair. It was realistic.
Yeah. So my wife and I were just talking about that as our youngest daughter is expecting with our third grandchild, and as the elder statesperson at the table. What an awesome experience it is to be 60 and be able to enjoy my grandchildren.
So this is why you should get married at 23. So when your grandparents can spend some time with you when you're they can still move.
But I do want to go back to being 23, right? I was 24 when I was 23 when I got married, started our business, had our first child, bought our first house at 24, as Mr. Miller very clearly knows, at 18% interest. Been through all kinds of ups and downs, lost everything I had, not just once, but 3 times. So anybody in my business, if you don't lose everything 3 times, you're just not trying hard enough. You need to try a little bit harder on that end of it. And I want to speak directly to the people that are concerned, right? You know what? I've lived it. I've been through it. I understand it. Everybody at this table understands it. Reach out to the trusted advisor. I just wrote down, this is show 372. Almost all of those 372, we've used this term trusted advisor, right? It hasn't changed in 3.5 years, almost 4 years. It probably won't change going forward. Much like the conversation about, oh my God, I can't pay my mortgage payment. What do I do? Reach a trusted advisor. If you want to buy, reach a trusted advisor. And we'll come up with a plan, like Tova said. There's a plan, right? It may not happen today, but there's a plan. And I know that's very high level, maybe a bit Pollyannic, but it's true. It's worked for 35 and a half years. It will continue to work for the next 35 and a half years. And the reality of it is there is always a shift in the market. So hire a trusted advisor.
There you go. Great show. Love it. You Wednesday here?
Next Wednesday?
Yeah.
I'm a strong maybe.
Okay. Awesome. I hope you are. Make the show better. For real.
Thank you. Keith, that's not an insult.
No, it definitely was not. It definitely was not. You make the show better. Come back.
you.
Seriously, please come back. Folks are putting in the feed when they got married and what age. I love this show. I absolutely love this show. Wait till you see your phone first time you've been on the show with your notifications on Facebook. Joey Rifkin, the director, filling in for Judah Wickhauer.
Great job.
Yeah, he did a great job. Dude, because there was a lot of stuff happening here. Man showed up late. First time guy on the show. First time gal on the show here. There was a lot of moving parts. Were there not?
There was a lot.
There was a lot.
We got it.
We got it done. We got it
Did I
done.
mention on the last show, and I'll say it again in case I can catch her, Roxanne Carter-Johnson has committed to me to do a show.
Oh, I can add to
by
that.
the
I was
end
at
of
a
the year.
board meeting with her yesterday.
Okay.
And would not let her leave the board meeting until she agreed to it.
So Roxanne's
it's
going to come
happening.
on the show?
Roxy,
Yeah, we should do it.
we love you.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. I love it. Real Talk with Keith Smith, guys, presented by Ross Mortgage.
Thank you for
If
letting
you
me come in
need
late.
somebody to help you get through this, Ross Mortgage, Scott Morris, Tova Payne, Jon Snow, and the crew. The I Love Seville show is going to be up in 44 minutes, so the young Jedi is going to have his back against the wall. Thank you kindly for joining us. So long, everybody. Take care.